नमस्कार सिक्किम क्रोनिकलको यो विशेष एपिसोडमा यहाँहरूलाई स्वागत छ। आज हामीसँग हुनुहुन्छ एडभोकेट टाशी बाफुङपा। हि इज अल्सो द जनरल सेक्रेटरी अफ द बार एसोसिएसन अफ सिक्किम। र आज हामीले जुन चाहिँ इस्युमा चर्चा परिचर्चा गर्न लागिरहेको छौँ त्यो एकदमै हाम्रो स्टेटलाई इफेक्ट गरेको र हाम्रो नानीहरूको फ्युचरसँग रिलेटेड छ। वी आर गोइङ टु डिस्कस द प्रोभिजन्स एन्ड वाट द ओभरभ्यू अफ Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012. So first of all त यो एक्टको अलिकति ओभरभ्यू भन्दाखेरि समरीमा चाहिँ तपाईँलाई के भन्नुहुन्छ?
This act अब हेऱ्यो भने first of all it came into existence in the year 2012 when it was enacted in 2012 है. If you see it's like this is for the first time I think it's one of the most comprehensive laws framed which exclusively deals with child sexual abuse. Because prior to this, in the Indian criminal law, but even if you talk about Indian Penal Code, they had there was no provision exclusively dealing with child sexual abuse. So it's a comprehensive legislation, and the most interesting thing about this act is, your law it just doesn't deal with procedures related to how someone should be prosecuted, to what are the provisions laid down which prescribes or describes what sexual offense is. But the best part about this act is it deals with situations after prosecution as well, right from rehabilitation to how the child is supposed to be reintegrated to society, to how the counseling is to take place, how to rehabilitate, to even provisions wherein compensation should be given to the victims. And it's actually a very short act but very comprehensive because it prescribes around 5 offences, wherein the first one being penetrative sexual assault, and then the second one being aggravated penetrative sexual assault, to there's just sexual assault to aggravated sexual assault, and there is even use of pornographic materials related to children, and where punishment is prescribed, and sexual harassment.
हजुरले भनिहाल्नु भयो यति 5वटा यसको डिफ्रेन्ट डाइमेन्सन्स छ. सो हाम्रो यहाँ सिक्किमको सन्दर्भमा हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हजुरलाई के चाहिँ लाग्छ कि अहिले यो अवेरनेस चाहिँ कतिको छ?
Awareness because in a way let me give you a thing. Just recently I had approached the police department, the crime branch, and I was doing a study related to POCSO actually on यो हाम्रो Sikkim child commission एउटा स्टडी गर्दैछु र त्यसमा when I got the details from the police headquarters related to how many cases have been registered till date, it is in a way it's like it was quite alarming, because I found that when I checked the records, there are at least around 11 to 12 cases being reported every month, and in a small state like Sikkim, I think it's at quite an alarming rate. And to a certain extent, awareness zyada bhayera pani hola that these cases are being reported on a regular basis, because we have our own state legal services authorities through which a lot of our panel advocates go and spread awareness. Under POCSO ma chai basically there have been a lot of awareness programs being organized by the state legal services authorities, likewise even the state government. And in fact the law also mandates, this particular act mandates that awareness programs and these kind of awareness related to child sexual abuse is to be done भनेर चाहिँ लले पनि it mandates.
As they say, justice delayed is justice denied, हैन? सो यसमा यो लको अन्तर्गत चाहिँ जस्टिस कतिको स्पिडेड हुन सक्छ जस्तो लाग्छ हजुरलाई?
स्पिडी छ because if you see आजको दिनमा तपाईले कोर्ट गएर हेर्नुभयो भने you'll be surprised that a major portion of the court को जुन चाहिँ proceedings हुन्छ नि, especially in the session court, if you go in all the 4 districts, you'll see that most of the cases, in fact criminal cases हेर्नुभयो भने the major portion of the court ko hours, to working hours is goes in dealing with cases related either to POCSO, child sexual abuse, or drug abuse. So under जुन प्रकारले यहाँ cases हुँदैछ, because even the courts have taken these child sexual abuse issues very seriously, right from the highest forum here in the state being the High Court to the subordinate courts. They've taken it very seriously, this issue. Therefore यो cases जति पनि हुँदैछ the speedy ways एकदमै यो केसेसहरुमा डिले हुँदैन, एकदमै छिटो भन्दा छिटो cases are being decided. In fact, if you go to the jails today, you'll be surprised to see that most of the convicts that you see in the jail are from POCSO cases.
Okay. Since you're already working in a project related to this act, Sikkim ko overview हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ how many cases are there, like कतिको चाहिँ हुँदैछ reporting चाहिँ in this particular act?
Reporting पुरै हुँदैछ, like I told you, when we started, I told you that from the records that I got from the police department, I was shocked to see that almost 11 to 12 cases being reported every month. भन्दाखेरि यो गर्नुस् त अब even if you take 10 cases in a month and calculate with 12 months, there are around not less than 100 cases being reported every year.
Okay. यस एक्टको अन्तर्गत चाहिँ कस्तो कस्तो अफेन्सेसहरु छ अनि यसको लागि पनिशमेन्टहरु चाहिँ कस्तो कस्तो छ?
अब यो अघि मैले भनेको जस्तो फर्स्टमा के रे पेनिट्रेटिभ सेक्सुअल असल्ट भनेको छ. पेनिट्रेटिभ सेक्सुअल असल्ट भनेपछि wherever it's like if anyone indulges into activities like trying to insert your penis, your private parts, penis into a child, it doesn't necessarily have to be the private part of a girl child, even a boy to and not just inserting your penis, but even to the extent of inserting any object or even your finger to any part of your body, and that would amount to penetrative sexual assault, and for which the punishment is before the act 2012 when initially came till last year, before the amendment was brought about, because 2019 amendment POCSO Act ma. So it was the maximum was around not less than 7 years, but now it's been increased to not less than 10 years, and not less than 10 years, and it can even go to life imprisonment, to the extent of some sentencing someone to life imprisonment. And at the same time, aggravated penetrative sexual assault, the second category, penetrative sexual assault, but aggravated. Now, why aggravated? Because if anyone in authority indulges into these sort of activities, like say for example a police personnel under whose custody the child is, or someone from the security forces, or someone just authority ma cha ni child, like say for example, let's say someone who's in charge of an institute, to people running shelter homes, to these observation homes, hamro jati pani as per children's home haru cha, त्यो म्यानेज गर्नेहरूले पनि if they indulge into these sort of activities, penetrative sexual assault would be considered aggravated penetrative sexual assault, which would call for a more stringent punishment. And even like staff and management of not just institutes like education institutes or any other institutes, but even hospitals, like management and staff of hospitals, it doesn't necessarily have to be a government hospital, but even private hospital staff indulge was why aggravated, because you're talking about children being under the control and supervision of someone in authority, because the person in authority can decide for the child. The child has no say when you're in someone else's custody. So when these kind of category of people indulge into anything like penetrative sexual assault, then that would be considered aggravated. And early after the amendment, aggravated penetrative sexual assaultमा चाहिँ if first of all you've got to understand the fact that who's a child is someone who's below 18 years of age as per this act. And if someone is indulging into these kind of aggravated penetrative sexual assault, there's a provision even for death penalty. The courts पहिला death penalty थिएन, but after the amendment, looking at this the gravity of the case involved, the courts can even pass an order to the extent of granting death penalty.
हाम्रो समाजमा अहिले निकै यस्तो पुरा हामीले सुन्ने गर्छौँ है, द्याट यस्तो भयो त्यस्तो भयो, स्पेसली भागेर बिहा गर्ने अन्डर एजमै त्यो पनि निकै केसेसहरू. त्यस्तो केसेसमा चाहिँ के गर्नुपर्ने अभिभावकहरूले?
अब त्यस्तो केसेसमा पनि इफ यु सी हेर्नुहोस्, बिकज देयर आर कपल अफ केसेस हियर इन सिक्किम इटसेल्फ. अब के हुन्छ, समटाइम्स यु फल इन लभ, बिकज अल्दो इट्स अ नेचुरल थिङ द्याट एज टिनेजर्स यु फल इन लभ, बट God save your relationship, say for example, if a girl is somehow happens to be below 18 years of age, no matter how deeply you've fallen in love and you've out of your own free will, if you've eloped with someone who's I'll give you an example, like let's say a girl is about 16 years of age and a boy is about 21, 30 or 25 above 18 years of age. But the girl, out of her own free will, the boy hasn't forced her or even influenced her or done nothing, out of sheer love for each other, they fall in love and they decide to elope. But the very fact that the girl is below 18 years of age, according to the law, if the complaint is made, the boy will be prosecuted. In fact, yahi katiwata cases cha, elope garera gayo, the girl is unfortunately below 18 years of age, nani pani bhaisakyo. But somehow the case has been reported, because you can't do away without reporting the cases, because the law says, POCSO Act there's a provision which says if anyone has knowledge that these kind of activities are happening, or even has that feeling that it's going to happen, something is wrong, you'll have to, there's mandatory reporting. Report garena bhane feri the fear is it's the worst part is that if you don't report, then the person you become an offender, you are liable to be prosecuted. So therefore yesto cases report hundakheri now there's already a child, nani bhaisakyo, husband and wife relationship bhaisakyo, biha garisakyo, but then to law, the very fact that she's below 18 years of age, कतिवटा हजुर केसेसहरू यहीँ छ, जस्तै नानी भइसक्यो, the wife is saying I went after my own free will, but even the courts are helpless, and the husband is languishing in jail. So how many lives are being spoiled? So you've got to understand the fact that the very fact that the law in a way says that even if it's consensual, but the very fact that the definition of child is someone who's below the age of 18, and 18 राखेको कारणै के हो भने till you reach that age, or cross 18, consent is no consent, because you don't have that capacity to actually take a conscious decision भनेर त्यो age gap राखेको. Therefore, even though sometimes the courts, even here the courts sometimes, याद हुँदा पनि consensual हो, यो हो, family भइसक्यो, केही नगरौँ भन्दा पनि the courts are also helpless. They've got to go by what the law says.
सो अल्टिमेटली यस्तो खालको केसेस कसैले थाहा पायो, अदरवाइज कसैसँग हुँदैछ, कसैको फ्यामिलीमा हुँदैछ भने चाहिँ हुम टु कन्ट्याक्ट, अनि कस्तो प्रकारले चाहिँ दे क्यान गो अबाउट दिस थिङ?
अब कस्तो भन्यो भने सी अब टु डिल विथ इश्यूज रिलेटेड टु चिल्ड्रेन, एक्चुअली इन अल द as per the Juvenile Justice Act, in all the police stations, you are supposed to have a special juvenile police unit, and this unit deals with cases related to children, actually, not just POCSO, but any, even if it's a normal criminal case where a child has been accused of committing a crime or an offense, two cases investigation to everything is taken care of by this special unit. But say for example, if there's a case to be reported on the POCSO, it is not necessary कि juvenile police unit लाई नै भन्नुपर्छ भन्ने पनि छैन. you can go and report it to any of the police stations, or in schools or anything. A child can even go and report it to the authorities. Say, for example, if you're an employee of a certain management or an institute or an office, you can go and report matters to your superiors as well, and it becomes compulsory for the mandatory for your superiors or your employers to report the matter to the authorities. Sometimes there could be a possibility that you might not know the process, or you might not have the confidence of approaching the police station, and you might go and just disclose about the incident to your superiors or your employees or employer कि त उसलाई गर्दाखेरि भन्यो भने once it is brought to their knowledge, they can also do the reporting, and they will have to do that.
थुप्रो केसेसहरूमा फल्स रिपोर्टिङको पनि मामला आएको छ है, यो यसमा चाहिँ तपाईँको के छ भन्नु?
फल्स रिपोर्टिङ पनि यस हुन्छ, तर के अरे बट दिस यो एक्टमा देयर इज अ specific provision which says in case if it is found that someone has indulged into giving false reports, or there's a false complaint which is made under POCSO, the person will be prosecuted. But again, there's a thing which says, say for example, if it is a child who's indulged into making a false complaint or reporting a false case, but the very fact that he or she is a child, she's exempted, they won't be prosecuted. But anyone other than a child indulges, false cases, reporting, it's like, you cannot go scot-free. The moment it is known that it's a false case that you've reported, you will be prosecuted. But at the same time, you got to understand that when you're reporting cases, at times, there could be a possibility that genuinely you feel that an offense has been committed or an offense is likely to be committed, and you go and report. But later during the investigation, if it is found that it is not, the very fact that you've genuinely gone, got the kid, it won't be considered a false reporting on your part. Because you've gone with a belief, that true belief that, something like this is happening or has happened. So you went and reported. So there's two cases.
So there is no fear for activists that there is.
There is no fear. So you can anyone can go and do the reporting, because at the same time, despite knowing if you don't, then there's that fear of you being prosecuted.
अनि यो हाम्रो समाजमा अहिले पोर्नोग्राफिक साइट्सहरूको पनि इम्प्याक्ट इज भेरी फिसी, भेरी नेगेटिभ अल्सो इन मेनी वेज. यसको चाहिँ पोक्सोसँग चाहिँ के छ रिलेसनसिप?
पोक्सोमा अघि मैले भनेको जस्तो देयर आर अबाउट 4-5 offenses that we talked about, and pornographic is storage of pornographic, using any material related to children, like कुनै नानीको let's say pornographic materials are stored in your mobile, you are indulging, spreading it, you will be prosecuted, because see, you lolly, say for example, I have a pornographic material related to children, and I've been happily circulating it among my friends to, I send it to you, to someone else. But if it is found that, I've been indulging into that, I am liable to be prosecuted. In fact, there's a special provision here which says even there's for media, to people, those who are running these photographic stores, to video ways or company, there's an obligation, there's a what do you call responsibility cast upon them as well, that say for example you're running a photo studio or a video parlor, and कसरी तपाईकोमा फोटो धुन आयो है, डेभलप गर्न आउँदाखेरि you get to know that एक दुईवटा कन्टेन्ट्स त रिलेट टु चाइल्ड पोर्नोग्राफी रहेछ, या नानीहरूको अलिकति नराम्रो पिक्चर्सहरू रहेछ या भिडियो रहेछ, you'll have to report the matter to the police. If you don't, then you will be prosecuted. And even as a media house, if you indulge into these kind of activities, or you don't do the reporting, mandatory reporting, then you will be prosecuted. And not just you, even your bosses, the very fact that you, say for example, you have a small firm or a company or the media house, but even your bosses might be liable to be prosecuted. So storage of pornographic materials, if it is found that on your set, say for example, for some reason you apprehended today, Thanama, while checking your phone, they find a lot of contents related to child pornography, you will be prosecuted.
अनि गुड टच ब्याड टच होइन यो यसको अवेरनेस चाहिँ अहिले कतिको छ जस्तो लाग्छ एन्ड आई थिङ्क देयर इज अ बिट अफ अवेरनेस किनभने केसेसहरू निकै नै आउँदैछ अहिले इनफ्याक्ट इट्स अलार्मिङ द अमाउन्ट अफ केसेस द्याट्स कमिङ के चाहिँ भन्नु चाहनुहुन्छ यसमा
अब यो गुड टच ब्याड टच भनेको जस्तो पनि अघि हामीले पेनिट्रेटिभ सेक्सुअल असल्ट र एग्रिभेटेड पेनिट्रेटिभ सेक्सुअल असल्टको कुरा गऱ्यो लाइकवाइज द सेक्सुअल असल्टको पनि छ है एन्ड एग्रिभेटेड सेक्सुअल असल्ट भनेर पनि छ नाउ सेक्सुअल असल्ट इज समन इफ you like you said it would in a way involve good touch bad touch like you try to touch a body of the private parts of a child it's not necessary that your clothes will have to be removed and then you touch the body parts because there are several there are judgments pani थियो wherein it was argued before the court that the very fact that you're wearing your clothes and you being touched from outside wouldn't amount to sexual assault because it has to be that you'll have to touch the body or you have to put your hands inside your clothes but the courts have said no it's not necessary that you'll have to touch the body ni अब यो तपाईँ लुगा लगाएको माथि नि यु ट्राई टु टच अ चाइल्ड्स ब्रेस्ट टु बोइज थिङ नि गर्दाखेरि पनि यु विल बी liable to be prosecuted and that comes on the category of being sexual assault. At the same time, aggravated sexual assault is again, like we discussed about aggravated penetrative sexual assault, people in authority, those who are indulging into these kind of activities like touching or गर्यो भने पनि that would amount to aggravated. Aggravated चाहिँ to people those who come under that category under whose control the child is like the police officer to अघि हामीले डिस्कस गरेको जस्तो so good touch bad touch भनेर अब I think
the importance of sexual education in schools I think it's very imperative.
Yeah, that's a very important that issue that you raised because now it becomes very necessary that sex education is made compulsory in the schools because at least through sex education they know what is right and wrong today normal child you go unless they've been discussing it in the family to in the schools a normal child wouldn't know what is good touch bad touch and whether you being touched in a good way or a bad way it's very difficult to say and because if you see in a lot of cases involving offences under POCSO, most of them are people those who are known to the child or even here you'll be surprised that there are grandfathers to even fathers those who've been repeatedly and sexually abusing their children at homes.
That's pretty disturbing.
Yeah, it is obviously it is disturbing because you would have never imagined like in a state like Sikkim these kind of things are or at least our people would indulge into these sort of activities but it's really disheartening and at the same time very disgusting and disturbing that these kind of incidents are happening here in a peaceful state like Sikkim as well.
I think that says a lot about our society and but slowly I think we will get to the point that we will cross that line and we will be a bit more vocal. I think it's happening, but the rate is very slow. Slowly, it may happen.
Not rate is slow in the sense, but the very fact, the manner in which cases are being reported, to a certain extent, it is good that people are in a way, talking about it, awareness, and we should be thankful to the institute, our state legal services authorities. The manner in which they've been involved in organizing these kind of programs and generating awareness. It's what do you say, laudable or it's like it is something that needs to be appreciated. But at the same time, we've got to take these awareness programs also very seriously because see many a times our people wouldn't know about it like we said like a simple case of falling in love who would have Who, while falling in love, no one's going to see that age or the consequences. But the law says that below 18 you're helpless. Even the courts are helpless. There's nothing that you can do. Now there is one more provision here which talks about sexual harassment. Sexual harassment. Even sexual harassment has been clearly defined in this related to children. Say, for example, in schools, like before, we used to crack dirty jokes, to send messages, to dirty messages being sent, or even pictures. It was a normal thing. But today, if you indulge into those kind of activities, that would amount to sexual harassment. Say, for example, if a girl is not interested in receiving those kind of materials or discussing those dirty jokes, but even if you're a classmate or even if you're close friends, but despite the girl not wanting to see those kind of things or those kind of things being forwarded on a mobile, but you indulge into doing that, that would amount to sexual harassment. Or even simple gestures to your moves, to your the manner, name calling, to your indulging into passing those giving that gestures, lewd comments and all, and that would amount to sexual harassment. And it's a beautiful piece of legislation that has been enacted, but at the same time it all depends on how it is executed. Especially more important is because prosecution's been the procedure to how a child should be dealt, to being made child-friendly courts, to how the courts should be conducting cases related to child sexual abuse. It's all been defined here. It's beautifully given. But at the same time, the beauty of this act is it just doesn't about, like we said, talks about how and what should be done while a person who's been accused is prosecuted, or how the child should be treated when the case is going on. But even after that, rehabilitation to compensation to how to go about has been defined. And this is one legislation, I think this is the only law, in fact the first legislation which is gender neutral. Because prior to this, there was nothing like, if a small boy was being sexually abused, there was no specific provision in the Indian Penal Code to deal with it. You only talk about woman, and that too under rape or outraging the modesty of a woman. But this is gender neutral, so it is not necessary that it is only if a girl child is abused, but even this covers even a boy below the age of 18.
That's wonderful, and I think we should discuss more in future on this topic. It's very important and imperative, I think. Thank you so much for talking to Sikkim Chronicle.
Thank you.
This is Nitesh R Pradhan for Sikkim Chronicle, Gangtok.